ape fossil found in Turkey may controversially suggest that the ancestors of African apes and humans first evolved in Europe before migrating to Africa, a research team says in a new study. The proposal breaks with the conventional view that hominins, the group that includes humans, the African apes, chimps, bonobos, and gorillas, and their fossil ancestors, originated exclusively in Africa. However, the discovery of several hominin fossils in Europe and Anatolia, modern-day Turkey, has already led some researchers to argue that hominins first evolved in Europe. This view suggests that hominins later dispersed into Africa between 7 million and 9 million years ago. The study team clarified that they are talking about the common ancestor of hominins and not about the human lineage after it diverged from the ancestors of chimpanzees and bonobos, our closest living relatives. Since that divergence, most of human evolutionary history has occurred in Africa. It is also most likely that the chimpanzee and human lineages diverged from each other in Africa. In the new study, the researchers analyzed a newly identified ape fossil from the 8.7 million-year-old site of Korikayırlar in central Anatolia. They dubbed the species Anadoluvius turkai. Anadolu is the modern Turkish word for Anatolia, and Turk refers to Turkey. Suggests that A. turkai likely weighed about 110 to 130 pounds, 50 to 60 kilograms, or about the weight of a large male chimpanzee, based on the fossils of other animals found alongside it, such as giraffes, warthogs, rhinos, antelope, zebras, elephants, porcupines, and hyenas, as well as other geological evidence. The researchers suggest that the newfound ape lived in a dry forest, more like where the early humans in Africa may have dwelled, rather than in the forest settings of modern great apes. A. turkai's powerful jaws and large, thickly enameled teeth suggest that it may have dined on hard or tough foods such as roots, so A. turkai likely spent a great deal of time on the ground. In the new study, the scientists focused on a well-preserved partial skull uncovered at the site in 2015. This fossil includes most of the facial structure and the front part of the brain case, the area where the brain sat, features that help the team calculate evolutionary relationships. Researchers are able to reconstruct and see for the first time the face of an ancestor of ours no one had ever seen before. The researchers suggest that A. turkai and other fossil apes from nearby areas, such as Oranopithecus in Greece and Turkey and Greekopithecus in Bulgaria, formed a group of early hominins. This may, in turn, suggest that the earliest hominins arose in Europe and the Eastern Mediterranean. Specifically, the team contends that ancient Balkan and Anatolian apes evolved from ancestors in Western and Central Europe. One question these findings raise is why, if hominins arose in Europe, they are no longer there, except for recently arrived humans, and why ancient hominins did not also disperse into Asia. Evolution is not very predictable. It happens as a series of unrelated and random events interact. We can assume that the conditions were not right for apes to move into Asia from the Eastern Mediterranean in the late Miocene, but they were right for dispersal into Africa. As for why, scientists do not find African apes in Europe today. Species go extinct all the time. The research team cautioned that he did not want this research misinterpreted or misused to suggest that Eurasia was somehow of primary importance in human evolution. Instead, we need to know where the common ancestor of African apes and humans evolved so that we can begin to understand the circumstances of this evolution, they said. Between 14 million and 7 million years ago, the areas in which apes were found in Europe, Asia, and Africa were different ecologically, just as many regions in these continents differ today. Knowing the ecological conditions in which our ancestors evolved is critical to understanding our origins. This new discovery expands our understanding of a group that appears closely related to living African apes and humans. However, scientists noted that recent comprehensive analyses of fossil great apes and early hominins, the group that includes humans and the extinct species more closely related to humans than any other animal, do not support the argument that hominins originated in Europe. Many other experts, investigating the evolutionary relationships of fossil and living great apes using more modern methods and including more groups, find that many of the European apes branched off before orangutans, making them likely distant relatives of living African great apes and humans.